All right, so prepping your hood, Mike's already did all the fiberglass work. He did his YouTube video on how to repair a fiberglass hood. He also reinforced some of the bottom of it. That's all his deal. That's not what this channel is about. I don't do fiberglass. But we are prepping this hood out for paint. And I was going to show y'all, when you're sanding your carbon hood or fiberglass hood, either one, especially this, okay, you can see right now these diamond patterns in it. That's from the actual mold. That's how the stuff's made. That's what we're trying to get rid of. So if you look right here where I just went over it real fast with the sander, you can actually kind of see them. You can see the light gray areas are highs, the dark grays are lows. So you're trying to smooth all that out to where it looks like this, okay? You don't want it to look like that. So before you prep your stuff for primer, this is you see perfect right there. You can see the diamonds, okay? Before primer, you want to take 180, go over the whole thing and either block it out with hand or a DA and get rid of, sand it until you don't see none of these patterns no more. This is what you don't want. You can get rid of that, and then that way when you put your primer on top of it and then you block your primer, you have a better chance of this thing looking like glass when the job's done and not seeing that. A lot of people say that you will still see that because of shrink back, I guess, in the product. After everything dries, it will shrink back some. You know, you can help with that by holding off on your cut and buff, but the goal here is to get rid of that diamond pattern. So if you sand it out right now and then put primer over it and then block that out flat, then you're less likely to see that after paint. And so as you can see from that clip, we had fish eyes in this. So this is the product we use to help eliminate the fish eyes if you do get it. Fish eyes contamination, and so that's the reason why if you paid attention to the circles, and I still got them, let me see. Okay, you see how it looks like a crater on the moon? So basically the contamination is right in the center of these dots. And then that's basically pushing the product away from it because the product doesn't like the contamination. Basically, they don't go together, and so the contamination pushes the product. It does make it a lot more orange pilly whenever you use this. It creates a lot more orange pill, but that's just our first coat of primer. Over this, I have tons of flaws in this thing. You know, just the same story as the rest of the car with all the spray paint, fiberglass repair, just an absolute train wreck. So that's our first coat of primer, which is actually 2 coats over it. We're gonna let this dry out, hit it with some guide coat. I think he's picking it up Wednesday, but if he don't pick it up till Thursday, we might go ahead and block this out on Wednesday morning and then put one more heavy coat of primer on it just to go ahead and, you know, get one of my steps knocked out. You can still see some of the diamond pattern. The camera's not picking it up, but you can right there. So you can still see some of that stuff. Everybody's telling me that stuff is really hard to get rid of. So I plan to block this coat of primer down extremely good. Take a lot of it off with 180 and then do another good thick coat of primer over it, and then block that one again. So he'll actually get 2 booth runs worth of primer and 2 blocking sessions before it goes to paint, just because I'm really going to try to get rid of or hopefully not have that much of that carbon pattern. I know this stuff's going to shrink back, you know, and some of it will still show, but that's another good thing about waiting for this and not running it straight through paint back to back and sending it off for mock-up, is this product gets, you know, a good week, maybe 2 weeks to really dry and shrink, and you know, before we do our final block on it. So hopefully it won't look bad after paint. And if some of it's left, you can also wet sand and buff your paint to get rid of a lot of it, which I'm sure that will be wet sand and buffing the hood. So that's it for this booth run on the hood. All right, so that's the first coat of primer on this. Went ahead and got this thing blocked out. In the morning, we're gonna lay one more coat on it, I think, before Randy hauls it out of here. We might wait. You hear it, Ed? We might wait, but we'll probably go ahead and pound one more coat on it. But that's blocked out, so that means, you, like I said in the other videos, you're gonna take like 50 to 75% of your primer back off a lot of times that you put on it. But that's all hand blocked, and the next coat will also be hand blocked. there's Randy's parts all done. The deck lid, 2 doors. All we have left is we still have to do his hood this week, and we have to do some moldings, the 2 moldings that go on the rear quarter panel. These things turned out freaking amazing. We blew a little paint over the door frames up top, put 1 coat of clear over it just to get me some legit paint up there. We are going back and painting the tops black. They're not staying red, but I just wanted to put some legit paint on here. These things turned out really freaking good, man. I mean, that is amazing. You can see that little piece of trash right there. So we got a little bit to denib. You know, there's a piece of trash right there. But, I mean, these things turned out freaking good. There's not a ton of trash in them. There's not a ton of orange peel. These things are going to be really easy to wet sand and buff. There's actually no runs, knock on wood. This is the first, literally the first one I have sprayed with no runs in it. You know, it just looks good. So, very happy with how these turned out. We are going to be doing... possibly, it hasn't been set in stone, but there's a 90% chance they're going to be doing another really fast race car next month. So stay tuned for that. So let's start this video out where I've come in here and I filmed this the other day, and it looked amazing. Actually, I shot it, went and cleaned the paint gun out, and then come back in here, filmed it, and then rolled. So between the time I shot it and cleaned the paint gun out, there was a good 5 minutes. Normally all the time, 5 minutes, I can untape a vehicle in 5 minutes on my day-to-day clear coat I normally use with the accelerator. So when I come back in here after 5 minutes, it looked good. So I rocked and rolled, shot a video on it, got out of here. Come back in this morning, and this crap ran off the freaking panel. See the runs up there? I hate this clear so much that you have no clue how much I hate this clear. I will never be putting this stuff on any project of mine, ever, ever. I will use production clear, 4 or 5 freaking coats of production clear before I ever spray this high solids on anything that I own. Look at all the runs. It just doesn't stay. It's too heavy, it runs. I had no accelerator in it to let it dry out. It's just too slow for me. So I'm way faster of a production painter, and yeah. So what we're gonna do this morning, I have to shoot his hood and 2 trim pieces. So instead of wet sanding that crap out, I'm just gonna sand this out with 320 actually, because the other pieces turned out fine. The deck lid just needs to wet sand and buff, but it actually turned out fine. It doesn't have no runs down it or anything. And then this door also, as of right now, looks okay. It does have some little areas right here, but I think I can probably get that out with a block maybe. I'm gonna try it, of course. You always try to fix a situation like this before you move into paint. You don't ever want to paint your parts and then try to wet sand this and then it cut through, and then you got to repaint this one separate. So we're gonna try to get this fixed with a little wet sandpaper. If we can get this fixed and this door is checked, good to go out of here. This one's definitely getting 320'd this morning to get them nasty runs out of it. I'm not even dealing with that crap. And then the trunk lid I know is good to go. So we'll get this rocking and rolling this morning and get these pieces done. And then I never want to see high solids clear again in my life. All right, so there we go. We got that sprayed out. If you remember, I ran this door, of course, because it's high solids clear. I absolutely hate this stuff. I will definitely not be sad whenever all of these panels are painted and done. But this time it come out good, as long as it don't run after I go home. I think sometimes it just sits here and hangs out, and then as soon as I walk out the booth, it decides that it's gonna exit to the left, and it rolls. But right now, she's looking good. So not too much trash, a couple pieces to denib in it. The hood has a couple little pieces like right there that needs to be nibbed out, but I'm not really too worried about the trash because I've realized that we're going to be cut and buffing this whole car no matter what, which is perfectly fine with me. But so therefore there's not, you know, too big. You don't need to worry too much about trash if you know you're going to cut and buff. But there's honestly not a lot in there, so it makes our job a lot easier. Just a couple. There's like 2 pieces right there. But it makes our job easier when you don't have to worry about getting the trash out. And basically, if you can get it to flow out where you don't have to fight the orange peel, that's the worst of it. And there's little clumps right there. It's like 3. I don't know what went on there, but besides that, As of right now, also no runs on this piece. So there is a sag on the front. Let's see here, right there. If you watch the light, you can see how it's distorting in the light. So there's a sag, there it's gone, and there it is through the light. And it's back gone right there. So we just got that little sag on the nose to cut out whenever we do the cut and buff. But that's gonna be it on this. All these, so that's basically all the pieces painted now. The deck lid's done, the trunk or the hood's done, the 2 doors are done. That's that 1 door. The only pieces I've got left is I've got the 2 pieces of molding left to do. The trunk lid, we cut and buffed an area out, or we haven't buffed it yet. We cut an area out right here. And the door, we cut them little trouble areas out right there. But besides that, then we're done. So everything has paint on it right now besides the molding. So I know Randy will be happy to hear that all the parts are done. Like, comment, subscribe, share, smash that notification button, because whenever it's time to put all this together, I know that's going to be a banging video when we finally get to see this whole entire car together and all the parts that we have spent over a month working on now, because I'm like literally over a month in this car. But I know that's going to be a good one. I'm out.